Hi, this is Tldr, and in this video I'm going to predict which units will join the roster of heroes in 2022. As you know from my previous summoning explanation videos, this will not be a mere guessing game. I will support my predictions with detailed analytics from IS behavior linked to the past 3 Choose Your Legends results. So, if you're ready to be spoiled, including some harsh truths, let's do it. First of all, we need to understand how IS is working. Around mid of January, players are asked to vote for their favorite characters in the Choose Your Legends poll. The results are being released at the beginning of February, and the top 2 characters in the male and female division will get brave alts in the August banner of the same year. So there are around 6 months between the announcement and the actual banner. My assumption is that this is indeed the time it takes to implement new characters. This isn't really unusual. The characters have to be theory crafted and designed, they have to hire the voice actors and artists, the characters have to be modeled and tested and balanced. Well, maybe not tested and balanced, I mean, who needs these things? All of this takes time, so even though this is not confirmed, I very much expect IS to plan their new units at least half a year ahead. With that being said, it's fair to assume that all banners up to the Brave Heroes are already in work at the time when the CYL results are being dropped, giving them no chances of fast reactions to the votes. Therefore, the CYL ratings will likely not come into effect until after the Brave Heroes banner. Proof of that is Marianne's double release shortly before her Brave alt. Marianne had a very good 13th placement in Choose Your Legends 4, being the second most wanted character from 3 houses which was not yet released at the time of the voting. Therefore, it makes sense for IS to put her on a future banner. Her good placement did actually manage to grab her 2 slots. Did IS think that she would win Choose Your Legends 5? I don't think so. With Tldr and Lysithia winning before, there were 5 other women ranked higher than her in Choose Your Legends 4. And I guess it was fair to assume back then that the battle for the first 2 slots in CYL 5 would be fought between Erika, Byleth and Bernie. Therefore, I am confident that we can predict most of the characters, which will be released at least until June 2022, as those will be directed by the votes of CYL 5. So, before we take a look at the characters, let's see which games will be featured on future banners. Even though it doesn't always look like it, most of the games get banners on a regular basis. We have 14 game titles and 1 banner per month, so each game can be featured around once a year. Good examples for this are the core games from FE4 up to FE8. These games have not gotten a massive push through their game release or recent popularity, and we can indeed see that there is always a little bit more than a year between each banner. FE1 also falls in this category. They have gotten 2 banners between CYL 3 and 4, no banner between CYL 4 and 5, and are now back after 15 months. Then there are games that have either been super popular at the beginning of Heroes, like Fates and Awakening, or Shadows of Valentia and 3 Houses, which have been released after Heroes. These games have had multiple banners very early and used up a lot of their content at this point, making them appear less frequently. We have waited 15 months for a new Fates banner, Awakening is overdue with 16 months, and it has taken 20 months for a new SOV banner. 3 Houses is different in this regard as they are still pushing in content, but I guess we have 3 or 4 banners more to go until the time span between 3 Houses banners will increase as well. Then we have Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which has only gotten a single banner so far, and Heroes itself, which stopped having its own banners after making every new unit a mythic. Last, we have FE9 and 10, which are strange. Maybe this has to do with the cancelled remake for the DS? Maybe they were holding back content for marketing reasons, but now that we didn't get the remake, their schedule is totally fucked up? We have not gotten a single FE9 or 10 banner in the CYL 3 period, and only a single FE9 banner right after CYL 4. The last FE9 banner was therefore 13 months ago, the last FE10 banner, freaking 31 months. Yes, you've heard right. There are 9 more banners left to go until the CYL 6 banner drops in August 22. As one of them will be a Fallen banner with units from different games, there are 8 solo game titles left to be filled. With FE1 getting their CYL5 inspired banner already, it's fair to assume that there won't be another banner till CYL6, and with SOV and Fates having already used most of their content while having recent banners, they are probably out as well. With the newly added change of putting Heroes OCs as additional slots on more than every second banner, the reason for this will be discussed later, we can assume that this game will also not get its own banner in the near future. So these 4 are out. The games which have been waiting for a new banner the longest are FE10 with 31 months, TMS with 22 months, FE13 with 16 months, FE9 with 13 months, and FE6 with 12 months. It's fair to assume that FE13 and either FE10 or 9 will surely have another banner in 2022. I do think TMS has high chances of having another banner, and so does FE6. I think it's also fair to assume that there will be another Free Houses banner in the next 8 months, given that there is still plenty of content and considering that we have gotten 2 of them each year so far. This leaves FE8 with the last banner 10 months ago, FE5 9 months ago, FE4 8 months ago, and FE7 6 months ago. Even though FE8 has been waiting the longest out of these, I predict that there won't be another banner until after CYL6. More on that later. FE4 and 5 will both probably have another banner during this period, and depending on if we'll get 1 or 2 Tldr banners, we may get another FE7 banner. Or something completely random? Warriors? Now that we have determined the games most likely represented until CYL6, let's take a deeper look into the characters. FE13, likely the next or after next banner. Is after next a real phrase? I googled that. Their last banner has been 16 months ago and therefore falls into the CYL3 period. Out of the units not yet released back then, we had Severa in the first place, overall rank 58, getting around 4.5k player votes. Following her we had Amarin, Inigo, Zairi, Priam, Flavia and Muriel. Sorry if I butchered some of these names, it won't be the last time. Analyzing the CYL3 results, IS has given us a banner with Zairi, who ranked 4th, Anna, who ranked 1st in Awakening overall, so sorry Chrome fans, and Mustafa, who ranked only 364th. We also got Gangrel as a GHB unit and Amarin as a free reward implemented directly into the 3 and 4 star pool. I agree that 2 out of the 7 most popular not yet released characters are far-fetched to prove the CYL voting results, but I promise it will be more clearly visible for the other games. In fact, it's just Mustafa who was a really strange choice. Why did IS pick him over multiple more favorite units like Priam? I will never know. Sometimes they make odd choices. Moving on to CYL4, which was the first time for Free Houses characters to make an appearance, so rankings and votes for other games obviously went down a lot. Severa, while still ranking 1st in the Missing Awakening units section, lost nearly half of her votes, dropping down to place 67. This is the same for every other Awakening character, with the interesting exception of Muriel, who held her ground, surpassing Flavia in votes. We didn't get a new Heroes banner of Awakening in the CYL4 period, but both Severa and Inigo were addressed in this year's Bunny banner. CYL5 hasn't changed that much, besides Muriel being on the rise once again, climbing up 66 ranks. Inigo and Severa still place 1st and 2nd, their alts being released after the voting took place. Priam is still ranked high, and some of the other Shepherd characters have filled up the empty slots, making a future Shepherd banner very likely. Being female and having some kind of nerd hotness, Muriel would probably be the main character on that banner. Priam, while constantly ranking high, will probably not make it once again or be served with a random seasonal alt, a thing which has happened a lot lately. Out of the other Shepherds, I give Rickon a 70% chance of appearing and Ike 60%. This leaves one spot, and sorry for the stance, this slot will not go to Callum. He ranks behind Rickon and Ike, and his daughter Kiel, who shares that awful armor design, was ranked last out of all Awakening characters. I don't think it will be Gregor either, even though I still can't believe the Mustafa pick. I do think Awakening is near its end content-wise, and truth be told, even though Muriel is doing her best, she will not be the sexy lady seller IS is looking for on new banners. Therefore, I can see it going two ways. I can see them putting Flavia, a sexy Rinka type lady, on the banner and making Basilio the GHB unit. While being important to the story, both characters fail to receive high rankings. Therefore, I could totally see IS handling them this way and giving us one last banner with some of the missing kits after CYL6. Or we get another Heroes OC. With the new Ascended Hero type and Realm Gods being added, there are many chances for all the new OCs to appear on these banners. In fact, many game titles have burned through most of the good selling content by now, so it makes sense for IS to give these banners better value with broken OCs. We have enough books and OCs to fill a lot of gaps, and maybe we will even get ascended versions of other popular characters who have been added early to the game with less optimal stats and skills. Only time will tell. So, my final prediction for the Fire Emblem Awakening banner are Muriel, Rickon, Flavia, and Legiarn / any other FEOC. Let's go on with FE9 and 10. It has always been strange how IS has separated these two games character-wise, so I've made a chart with all of them together, which may result in one or two banners. We didn't get a FE9 or 10 banner in the CYL3 period despite the high rankings of characters like Chill, Ilyana and Shinon. We did get a seasonal alt version of Grail, who ranked 119th, and a fallen version of Ashnard on rank 187. With some of these characters improving their rank despite the Free Houses characters, Chill climbing up on rank 24 with nearly 7,000 votes, and George being bot voted up there. An FE9 banner was overdue. I have to admit though that some of these numbers may have been affected by the decision to add up votes of different games. If I'm not mistaken, CYL4 was the first time to combine the votes from characters like Chill who appear in two games as the same character. I don't know why they didn't do that from the start, I mean, it's simply stupid. Truth be told, if all the Anna lovers would finally start focusing on a single version, she would win the women's division with ease. So, the combined votes may be a big reason for the good placements of these games, or rather explain why the placements of CYL3 weren't even better. And so, IS finally gave us the three highest ranking units, Chill, Shinon and Ilyana, putting Guthrie in there thematically even though his placement was far away from the others. We also got seasonal alts of Sephiran, who made a big rise, Ina, Degensea and Vika. Given that the Telios cast is huge, and many of these units are still missing, I do think that we can expect many more characters from these games turned into seasonal alts just to make an appearance. With that in mind, let's move on to CYL5. With the 5 most wanted characters, more or less, being implemented, the ranking of the characters still missing in the game now looks like this. Boyd made his way to the top, ranking 95th overall with around 1000 votes. Not as much as Chill used to have, but still top 100. Folk and Lucia have also been able to climb up some ranks, and many more characters from Telios have filled the now open slots, ranking quite well overall. So, who of them will most likely appear on the next banner? To discuss this, there's one issue we have to address: the Dawn Brigade. There are many memes around the internet waiting for the Dawn Brigade to be added, and I agree their appearance is overdue. But there is an issue. They are not as popular in the rankings. At the end of the day, IS wants to make money, so if they only do one banner, would they rather bring a chick like Lucia, who brought in 861 votes and who can be drawn quite hot to please the horny waifu collectors? Or someone like Meg and Laura, who ranked place 309 and 350 with merely 300 votes combined? The Dawn Brigade may be overdue story-wise, but they are clearly not popular. Therefore, if there is only one banner of the FE9 and 10 games, I predict we will not get the Dawn Brigade, but rather have the more popular members like Edward on seasonal banners. Being all about that money, it is very likely that Lucia will be one of the leads of the upcoming banner. I do think that Folk will end up there. He has been popular for a long time, and IS is always happy about options in the colorless pool, so I don't see why they wouldn't bring him. And I do think that there is a high chance we'll get Joffrey alongside Lucia as a form of storytelling. He may not be that popular, but we have seen things like this before to make the banners look more thematic, even if they aren't. This leaves one spot, and even though it breaks my heart, I do think they will skip Boyd, or to be more precise, put him on a seasonal banner to bring a character like Astrid instead, filling up the female quota. This may sound harsh, I'm sorry, these are just assumptions I made based on previous banners. I don't think we'll get Tormod, we have plenty of mage boys already, and I do indeed also not think that Marsha is very likely. Stefan may be a good candidate for a GHB battle, seeing that Har, who has been very popular, had one as well. Therefore, this is my banner prediction. They will do Lucia with short hair, as it's kinda hot and not like every other speedy sword infantry unit we have already gotten, and with that they will sell it as a Radiant Dawn banner, finally filling that void at the Dawn Brigade's expense. If we get a second Telios banner for some reason, or if the Dawn Brigade finds means to bribe IS despite the bad rankings, I mean, if Mustafa could do it, I'm gonna be bold and call a banner like this. But seriously, look at them. I've even placed Warlock in there to at least please the gays and those with an open mindset. I think he's hot. I also think Meg is hot. But considering the players who enjoy this kind of art, which of them will they most likely wail for in this banner? Yup. Maybe if we alter it a bit? Maybe? Slightly more likely? I think I nailed that bust size, already banning her back at least. IS, please hire me. I got it now. Still, doesn't really look like a well-selling banner. Moving on with the third game, which I'm 100% sure will have another banner till CYL6 drops. 3 million $3 I meant houses. 3 million $3 houses. I can already tell you, this one's going to be interesting. Looking back, they were not around at the time of CYL3, making us miss a lot of important data. At the time of CYL4 voting, Edelgard, Dimitri, Claude, both by Levs, Sodis, Mercedes, Hubert, Petra and Tldr were already released. One additional banner with Lysithia, Bernie, Annette and Ferdinand, as well as the two summer banners with Fembylev, Ingrid, Dorothea, Sylvain and Lawrence were, according to my suspicion, already in the making. This leaves us with these characters who are still missing in the game with the base alts. Dorothea on rank 1, rank 12 overall with over 15,000 votes, followed by Marianne, Felix, Ash, Sylvain, Rhea, Ingrid, Linhard and Shamir. During the CYL4 period, out of these characters, IS gave us Marianne, Ingrid, Linhard and Shamir in the normal summoning pool, while also adding further alts of Dorothea, Felix and Ash. Therefore, every character in the top 10 has been addressed in one way or another, and Ingrid was in fact the first Three Houses character to have a normal alt being released after the seasonal version, suggesting we may see the others in their regular versions as well. This brings us to CYL5. As we all know, Gatekeeper has won this like a madman, and all of the Ashen Wolves had quite high placements as well. Therefore, predicting the Ashen Wolves banner, which we have gotten already by now, was not that hard. I have to admit that I did not expect IS to put an OC in there. Given their popularity, it was quite surprising, but it kinda shows that IS is dedicated to further do this. After Sarah's release and Rhea being featured in a double hero, she has also gotten an alt of her own this Halloween, leaving us with the exact same characters who are still stuck in alt hell. With Ingrid around, we know that there is a chance that all of these will still get their normal versions added to the game. Might be simple as that. But as Three Houses is very popular, I wanted to know who else is up there. Taking out every character who has already gotten an alt, the CYL5 rankings of the most desired, not yet in the game characters look like this. The Ashen Wolves, followed by Manuela, Poor Ignatz, Abyss Keeper, really, Geralt and Yeritza. Now, this was indeed surprising for me. I kinda always assumed that the next Three Houses banner we would get would be another school banner focusing on the stuff with Rhea, Manuela, Hanneman and Cyril, with Geralt being the GHB unit. Maybe even an OC instead of Cyril, putting him in the normal pool. But now, Rhea has kinda been addressed. I mean, it wouldn't be completely out of the world for her to still being added. We've had a Selena alt and got the normal version only a few months later, but these two were indeed between votings. She had been the most popular FE8 character in CYL3, so her summer alt was already in the making. But with her CYL4 votes being even higher, she also got the normal alt shortly after. Rhea getting the Halloween alt should be the answer to her CYL5 placement already, so I don't think we'll get her normal version soon as well. Which leaves us with... who? Alois? Neither Hanneman nor Cyril have done well in the voting. Am I to believe that Manuela carries a banner with 3 not that pleasing men? I don't think so. So I do think that Manuela will likely be added, but probably with a seasonal alt, skipping the teachers for now. My bold Three Houses prediction will therefore be time skip. I think we are going to get our very first time skip banner shortly before the CYL6 banner. The fact that both Marianne and Lysithia had different Brave versions than their usual time skip designs makes me strongly believe that IS will totally further exploit these versions. And it is kinda smart. If I'm not mistaken, the time skip versions are much more popular than the school versions. By giving us the school versions first, they have fished our money simply because of the desire to have these characters, and with the time skip versions, they will sell us the stuff we really wanted on top. I predict the 3 high rankers who are still left in alt hell to make an appearance with the time skip designs, and Ignatz will join them for pity reasons. I may be totally wrong with this one. I do think that there is still potential for the school outfits of these 3, especially Felix and Dorothea, so maybe IS will make us even wait further to press out that last little penny. Maybe. I do think though that they will skip the teachers and the cleaner and give us another set of students, with either Geralt or Cornelia ending up as the GHB unit, depending on whether they will give us the time skip or school versions. Such a shame that we don't have full body artworks of them. What the hell were they thinking? Moving on with FE6. We've gotten banners of FE6 quite regularly, portraying very nicely how CYL votes affect future banners. After CYL3 we had Deke leading the FE6 wishlist with 1.2k votes and an overall rank 196. Compared to the other games, which all had clear favorites among the top 100, it is very obvious that FE6 doesn't have such a big supporting player base. IS went ahead and gave us the most wanted characters in slot 2 and 3 and filled in 2 more women who weren't that far behind the others as well. We also got Walt as a seasonal unit, and while we got some seasonal units also in the regular attire later, I do think that this will be the only Walt we'll ever get. After CYL4, Merlinus made a surprise climb and gave IS a first warning of what would happen 1 year later with Gatekeeper. IS said, well yes, and put him straight on a banner together with a random selection of other high placing units. We got Deke placing 2nd, Guinevere placing 4th, and Melody who came in 6th place. I'm not sure why they went for Gaul as the GHB unit. His placement was quite bad, and even if he has a subtle connection to Guinevere, Murdoch would have actually been a more relatable choice. On the other hand, I was still a teenager when I last played FE6, so there may be some connection I just don't remember anymore. So, CYL5, and we get Gonzalez leading the board, with merely 529 votes. What does it tell you about a game if the top missing characters happen to be Merlinus and Gonzalez? Now, if anyone is hoping for another funny addition, sorry guys, I don't see it happening. He has been skipped twice now. Instead, IS will hop on the rising popularity of Cat, similar as they did with Malice on their current banner. While I didn't predict the full Wolf squad to be added, I was right about Wolf, Roshea and Malice, who I was sure would be added, giving her newly high placement. Therefore, I'm pretty confident about Cat being added in 22, together with her friend Hugh. Both of them have been rising in popularity. They have interesting designs, interesting class options, being a thief and a mage, and a somewhat connected story. Perfect. I could see IS moving out of the way and giving us Elfine as a second dancer from this game. They have done it with Larum, so I can totally see them doing it again. He probably still triggers waifu hunters more than Dorothy. And I think that's it for the banner. I am almost 100% confident that there will be a hot female OC or entity on this banner instead of a fourth unit. I can see them giving us Nime, drawn by Yamada Akihiro, who has drawn Miller, Zephiel or lately Gatekeeper as a replacement in the permanent summoning pool. She would fit his style and probably wouldn't bring much money anyways. And Murdoch would finally join as the last GHB unit from FE6. Last? Yes, you've heard right. I do think that this will be the last FE6 banner we'll ever get, unless Ascended Heroes of main games become a thing. The remaining units are just not good or popular enough anymore in terms of solo banner value. Sad but true. Well, maybe not sad, I mean, I really don't want to see a broken, meta-defining Dorothy to be added. Who would want that besides that 28 lunatics who gave her all their votes? There's someone in the comment section who voted for Dorothy, please out yourself. Moving on with another game which will probably have its last banner. Tokyo Mirage Sessions. TMS was votable for the first time around CYL4 with 5 of the characters already in the game at that time. Still, they have managed to get remarkable results. Their lead Maiko is among the top 100 units overall with over 2k votes. And with Toma there was even a second still missing unit among the top 100. These are numbers FE6 can only dream about. Lilina is the only unit in their entire game who still makes it among the top 100, and she is technically something like a lord. So, we didn't get another TMS banner in the CYL4 period, but rankings are still high after CYL5, with now even 3 characters making it into the top 100. There is one obvious issue though. IS gave us the first TMS banner with 4 women and not a single man. Itsuki ended up being the free Tempest Trial unit. This leaves the game with an awful lot of men left to be added. Therefore, if there is another banner, Ayaha and Aversa are guaranteed to be on it. No doubt about that. Second issue. After Ayaha, whose placement herself isn't that high already, there is a big void. I don't think that IS would be willing to dig that deep for anyone else but a cute girl, and there is none. And as far as I know, I never touched that game. The number 1 ranking unit Maiko is actually not a Mirage Master herself, but only a support character. Fire Emblem Wiki says she has a sword type attack, so maybe they'll just go there? Maybe they'll make something up? Here's my prediction. I think they'll give us Ayaha for sure, in a sexy outfit. Then they'll give us either Toma or Yashiro, depending on if they'll need a sword or lance unit to fill up the colors. Then they will give us Mirage Tiki just to have another popular unit, and at this point, 1 Tiki more or less doesn't hurt anyways. And then we'll have another OC, putting either Toma or Yashiro, whoever didn't make it, in the normal summoning pool. Having more characters than just Itsuki available in the regular 4 and 3 star pool is overdue, given that there are limited battles with that game title. And then I could totally see Maiko randomly appearing on a seasonal banner as a demote unit. With her seasonal outfit she would overcome the issue of not being a Mirage Master and just pick up a random weapon, whatever IS sees fit. The people will wail it, cause what else can they do? And with that, TMS will be done. Oh wait, there's still the GHB. I don't know. Maybe it will be a non-fitting GHB? We've had that before. Or they will just pick the favorite out of the remaining ones, giving us exactly 4 F2P unit options. Who knows? Maybe there will even be a seasonal banner one day just to remind players that there was still that title, but other than that, I don't think we will have another appearance. So, finally, what about FE8? At the time of CYL6, another FE8 banner would be overdue with having waited 19 months since its last banner. So let's take a look. Similar to FE6, we have gotten a banner every year so far, but there is something special. Fire Emblem Sacred Stones has been one of a few titles which always had thematic banners. After CYL3 they skipped most of the high-ranking units and gave us a banner around Ephraim, yeah, obvious, and Garrick, filling up the other slots with Tldr and her little brother Ewan to complete the Desert Mercenaries theme. Tldr isn't that far of a reach given her looks, but it was interesting that they made her demote while keeping Ewan 5-star locked, I'll give them that. They added Ross directly to the pool as Duo Ephraim wouldn't be put in there, and scheduled Selena, as previously said already, to make an appearance on the seasonal summer banner alongside Lute, who ranked 116th overall, and Joshua, who ranked 105th. Cormac on rank 92 joined as the more or less unrelated GHB unit. So far so good. CYL4 votings came in, and we have to see that the Selena alt was not yet released at the time, making her move up to rank 42 despite the addition of 3 houses with over 4,000 votes in total. Apart from 3 houses, she, Jill and George to some extent were the most desired units not yet in the game at that point. So, despite having an alt in the making already, IS put her on the banner with Regan and made it a Grado themed one. We got Duzel, who entered the Sacred Stones top 10 after the mercenaries were gone, Natasha, who surprisingly doesn't seem to be too popular, and second place Noel, who went into the regular summoning pool. We also got Kalek as the GHB unit, which makes sense in terms of the general theme despite his awful scoring. With this, we enter CYL5 and Gilliam rises to the top, if only with merely 550 votes. Besides, there are Vanessa, Arthur, Colm, Naomi, Franz and Ismair. What do we make of this? Gilliam and Vanessa could speak for an Frelia themed banner, maybe even with Cyrene as another add-on and Mulder going into the regular pool. But do we really need 2 more green-haired Pegasus Knights? I kinda don't see that happen, not if we don't get ascended versions of Tana or Ines, and still, Ines scored even lower than anyone else on that list. So if it's not Frelia, what else? Colm and Naomi? Both would probably want to be in the colorless pool, making it difficult to design a banner unless they give one of them a colored weapon. Ismair and Joshua remake? He's still popular at least. Honestly, I'm kinda lost. FE8 is very strong when it comes to their plenty Lord characters, but the footfolk is just not very convincing, especially those who are left behind so far. Therefore, with a heavy heart, I'll go ahead and say that we won't get another FE8 banner anytime soon. This may change if they indeed start to bring ascended versions of older characters, but without that happening, I don't see enough value for another banner of this game, not even for only 3 characters. I could see Colm and Naomi ending up on a seasonal banner together this year though, so that's at least something for FE8 fans. So, this leaves us with FE4 and 5, who seem very likely to have another banner next year, especially if FE8 gets shafted as I think it will. I have to be honest and say that I have no educated guesses on who will make it onto these banners though. I've never played these games myself, I've watched let's plays of others dealing with these awfully large maps trying to enjoy the story, but there's only that much that can fit into my small brain. Once again though, they have made banners from popular characters there as well. After CYL4, Aranus was placed second among the missing FE4 characters, place 157 overall, Acel plays 4, 198 overall, and Lex plays 6, 203 overall. After CYL3 we got Larsay, Zed, Altina, Shannon and Finn, who were all on top of the rankings. Therefore, I'd expect the next FE4 banner giving us Teen, I'm pretty sure about her, her brother Arthur, and Larsay's twin brother, whose name I will surely not say before Fe does. Eufy makes a lot of sense as a GHB unit, but this can honestly go anyway. Thracia makes things even harder for me, so pick your favorite 3 out of the bunch and put a Heroes OC on top. These are my educated and analytical guesses for future banners. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm totally wrong, only time will tell. Do you agree with my picks, at least from a commercial point of view? All of us obviously have favorite characters, that's out of question, but in the end it's all about keeping the game alive. With money. Making this analysis has been a lot of fun, but it also worries me. Seeing how out of stock some of these game titles are by now, IS is in dire need of a new Fire Emblem game to keep its mobile business running. I think FE6, 8 and also FE2 have only a single banner left to bring, and even popular games like Awakening have maybe 2 banners left before we enter the really questionable picks. The newly added Ascended OCs and Realm entities are in fact very much needed in the current state of the game to keep banners interesting, but people will sooner or later get bored of them as well. What we actually need, in my opinion, are revisited versions of Gen 1 units. Those Resplendents and Flowers are nice and all, but they can't fix how awful some of these characters have aged. So, what we need are new versions of these units, which can not only be summoned, but hopefully upgraded from the units we have plenty of in our barracks already. Maybe with some super exclusive item, I don't care. Reactivate some of these older players who still have that plus 10 Takumi in their barracks. I don't know about you, but with over 700 unique characters in that game, you probably won't make a new player read into all these weapons and effects anymore anyways. So many thanks for listening to all of this. I'm sorry if I butchered some of these names. I've tried my best. Please leave a like and subscribe for the hard work I pulled off in the last few days to make this video possible. We are currently at 4.3k subscribers, so about 650 left till the grand Fire Emblem roast. Make it happen, guys! See you soon!